Thanks for coming out and watching the oxymoronic Reddit Professional Show, where I showcase the best and worst of the internet. Here I comment on brilliant and hilarious comment chains regarding dumb shit on the internet for you to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell button so that you get notifications every time we come up with a new video. Enjoy this week's show.
YSK to double check your vehicle after a break-in, or else your insurance company might rip you off. YSK to double check your vehicle after a break-in, or else your insurance company might rip you off. Why YSK? I was broken into last year while at a park. I'd been gone only 15 minutes, and when I returned, my windshield had a huge crack in it and my passenger window was smashed. I had several valuable things stolen, and a hole kicked into my fender/bumper. Sorry, not good with cars in any way, shape, or form except driving, haha. When the police arrived and I made my report, I was still pretty panicked, and I left out the hole in the bumper because I simply hadn't thought to look there. Who would look there with two smashed windows at eye level? The next day when I made the report to my insurance company, I had noticed the hole in my bumper and added that on, thinking nothing of it. The insurance company refused to cover it. The hole wasn't on the police report, so it is impossible to prove that it happened during the break-in. Honestly, it was pretty upsetting, seeing as the fender cost more than the windows to replace, but I learned to always double check before making a police report, or else you might get ripped off. That's why you take pictures at the scene and email as documentation. As soon as any accident happens, take pictures of everything. The person, vehicle, area, the sun state of the road. It all adds up as evidence. As many have said in the replies to this comment, videos are a good way to make sure you've covered your bases. I recommend adding pics of at least any visibly apparent damage to a video, though, as pictures are more focused and will help justify larger expenses to insurance companies. Also worth noting that most, all, really, but there's always one, modern phone store metadata with images that tells you everything from the date and time to the device that took it, location it was taken, camera settings, etc. One of these could be the difference between your insurance company fully compensating or not. Yep, this is really good advice. I also do this when I rent a vehicle, both when I'm checking it out as well as checking it in, walking around it with video and pointing out everything I can see. I had an incident a few years back when the car rental company tried to say I caused some dents, obviously from hail, and while I didn't call it out specifically as they were minor, my checkout video showed them present and it saved my ass. I think video is much more valuable than photos for this reason, as we only tend to take pictures of things we think are an issue, but video can catch things even you may miss. Sent them the video and they didn't contact me again. My sister's boyfriend was recently in a car accident. My mom has to go get her to take her to the scene and to drive him home. So my mom took a ton of pictures. How the vehicles were situation after the crash, the damage done to my sister's car, the inside of the car where all 400 airbags deployed, and the injuries he had, minor burn on this thigh from one of the airbags, and a badly bruised thumb. When it came time to deal with the insurance company, she just had to send the pics. And you can upload the pics right from the car insurance app, at least for the company we all have. YSK that you can call and amend a police report, sometimes you can even do it online. You could have easily had the hole added to the report and then insurance would have covered it. I'm not sure if you are able to do so in Canada, but if I was able to, and I didn't know, then yes, I'm a little embarrassed, lol. I'm a Canadian broker. If I managed new business, I'd say give me a call. I like to let all my customers know the ins and outs. Few things like max driver rating is 9 years. Vehicle ratings change every 2 months, but you are locked in at the start of a year or on new vehicle add to whatever the rates are at that time. These rates are determined by number of claims and payouts on that specific vehicle with that specific insurance company. So if your rates have gone up for those perfect drivers, your vehicle might not be aging well with that company. Always shop around. Loyalty doesn't get you very far with insurance. Phone companies and insurance will jack up prices, send you to a competitor for a year, wait till they jack up prices, lower theirs, and then take you back, all while adding up cancellation fees for themselves. I worked for at scum 4 years. At least customers aren't f***ed around as much in insurance. If you're in a park with rangers/naturalists, it's not a bad idea to give them a call. 9 times out of 10, they've been trained to look at this kind of damage or see it regularly because parks are, unfortunately, a hotspot for break-ins. Sometimes they'll have access to cameras, and actual footage is nice to send to insurance for claims. If nothing else, it could be helpful to have an outside perspective of someone who isn't in panic mode to help spot all the damage. I appreciate the advice, but it was a city park, no rangers around. Also, there has been 3 murders in the same park, and there's no cameras. It's really quite a problem in my city that I was unaware of until the break-in. The cops weren't even surprised at all that my car was broken into during the middle of the day in public with plenty of people around. I envy your courage to go to the park after 3 unsolved murders. They were solved, as most were drug-related and people knew each other, but the lack of cameras is still disturbing. Oddly, it's a very popular park for families and elderly folks during the day, when I went, and more sketchy at night. A little trippy to be honest. YSK that car insurance, even if it covers the break-in damage to your car, won't usually cover the stuff taken. You need homeowners/renters insurance, which will cover theft of personal belongings, regardless of where you are in the world, in order to be covered for this type of loss. I should have added that in my OP. I did have home insurance and they covered all my valuables. Actually, my home insurance is through another company, and the agent who helped me actually gave a shit about what was going on and gave me the total value I asked for. Minus the deduction fee, of course. Same if you get in an accident and it gets sent to a collision place. People stole items from my car and there was no accountability. Elaborate. I had a car crash, foolishly agreed to use my car insurance benefits to have the car towed and went to the hospital. Saw the car a month later after it was declared total loss. Personal belongings including small amount of money were stolen by someone along the way. Yet that's on you to secure your personal property before you let Bubba at Jim Bob's Towing move your car. Insurance policies don't include what's in the vehicle at the time of the accident. Why would they cover them if they get stolen while at the tow yard? File a police report for the theft and point them at the towing company. Your items would have been stolen regardless of if it was an insurance tow or a tow you hired. I'm a lawyer whose business is suing insurance companies that don't pay. I see a lot of shit on both sides, but after 10 years, I'm absolutely sure I'm on the good side of the courtroom. There is plenty of insurance fraud and other shenanigans out there that give insurers valid reasons to delay, deny, and defend claims. However, insurers literally train their adjusters to assume every claim is fraudulent. I have documents from State Farm obtained in litigation under protective order, but later released from confidentiality, and I'm free to disseminate now, from lawyers telling adjusters things like, pretend it's your own money, and, a permanent disfigurement looks better if you can delay trial for 2 years. I'm considering a class action against an auto insurer called Everest National because their business model is to create a shitty application, sell exorbitantly priced policies, and then rescind, void, coverage once they're insured as a loss. Their application literally has no field in which an applicant can put the information the insurer says was omitted. It's intentional. They collect premiums, and if anyone has a loss, they call their insured a liar. I'd be willing to do an AMA and provide some of these documents if anyone cares. To be clear, not all insurers are like this. In fact, I've had many companies cover losses that they could actually have completely avoided just because they acknowledged premium payment and did the right thing. From your experience as a lawyer, which insurers would you recommend to a friend/family/child? You know, the actually decent ones. Depends whether you're talking life, auto, home, health. There are some regional nuances also that really change things. But in my limited experience, AAA is my personal pick for home, auto, and life. BCBS is pretty great as a health administrator even if not the actual insurer. A hole in your fender. Do you mean a dent in your fender? No, it's a hole. The vehicle was a 2017 Chevy Cruze. The front bumper is really a single piece stretching across the front, not an actual metal bumper like most people think of immediately. Also, not sure why out of all the comments this one caught my eye. But maybe because it's like, really, you think I can't tell the difference between a hole and a dent? Sorry, it made me laugh. They probably denied it because it's pretty hard, almost impossible to kick a hole in a bumper. They are using the police report as a polite way of saying that. It is common knowledge that police reports are not very reliable. As an auto damage adjuster, I can tell you that damage speaks for itself. Like when people try to tell me their car was parked and unoccupied when it was hit. Yet I see small scratches in the paint that is indicative to contact with a concrete wall. Check your policy. If a police report isn't mandatory, I wouldn't bother getting one. The only time I would waste my time with a report would be if there was another driver involved. That way they can't change details or add extra occupants who weren't there. If the other driver is at fault and is admitting to it, call their insurance company and have them give their statement immediately on the scene. Make sure to get the claim number. This worked for me when I was T-boned by a driver who ran a red light. Everything was covered for me. There was no fighting. My car was stolen. It was found a few days later completely trashed and cleaned out. Cops said they probably cleaned it out to sell to a chop shop, but I reported to Quick, so instead they just took it for a joyride. I tell my insurance company to please make sure they change the door lock cylinders, as one of the items they took was a valid key. My car had a key with an electronic signature, You can change that and the key won't start the ignition, but you could still unlock the doors and turn the battery on. Insurance first tells me they changed them. I verify and specifically mention that if they only reprogram my key, someone can still break in. They confirm, all good. 2 weeks after getting my car back, I get in to head to work. The car reeked of weed. There was an empty malt liquor bottle in the passenger seat and the radio was up full blast on a station I'd never even heard of. I call the police. The officer arrives and basically says, "Are you sure it wasn't just one of your friends or your roommates?" I was like, A, I live alone, this is my house, and B, yes, I am sure that my friends wouldn't come to my house in the middle of the night, smoke weed, drink malt liquor and listen to the radio, then leave and forget to tell me. He says he'll make a report, but it was probably just like that from when it was stolen. I had been driving it since. I was pissed, called the shop, and the guy says the insurance didn't include replacing the lock cylinders ever, and that he had even suggested it but was told it wasn't necessary and to just reprogram my key. I paid out of pocket to have the lock cylinders replaced after the insurance company refused to accept the police report as evidence of vandalism. The real kicker, the insurance company sent me a letter 2 weeks later saying they would no longer cover me, and not just on my vehicle, but they were also unable to cover me on my shared company car. Lucky travelers.
If you enjoyed this week's effective way to waste time, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you are enjoying the series, leave me a comment below. A special shout out to the content creators. You frickin' rock.